It's HW here. That, I had no idea what that was going to become. When I started that riff, I was like, shoot, I'm going to need a progression here. That's always fun. Do you ever just start the looper? You should. You should. Because it's like, it reminds me of the feeling when I used to play in a band live. And we did all originals. It was called Inner Sunset. I think you can find us on Spotify or whatever. But we did a record called We Are the Movement. And we would play live, and I would all the time forget what the rest of the song was. Like, I'd be playing a part, and I'd kind of remember the parts, you know? And then for whatever reason, I would space, and I'd be like, what's the bridge to this song? Which was kind of funny, because I wrote probably 2/3 of the songs, you know? And I would forget. And so I'd be like, oh, I'll just wait to see like what the bass player does, and I'll listen. It's like, oh, right. Yeah, that part. And one time there was this part where everybody drops out, and I think I was supposed to do something like this. And then the whole band comes in. And then it went. I don't remember. It was something like that. Some poppy punk thing, you know? And I couldn't remember what happened, right? And so I'm thinking, oh, I'll just catch it real quick. I can't remember. And then boom, it comes that part where it's just me. And the looks on everyone, I just didn't play. I'm looking and I like glance over at them, and their looks are all like, I'm like, oh yeah. We had so many great things, man. We had so many great little songs. I had this one scat solo, too, I used to do, where it was like, no, it was in D. Thing. But anyway, I'll have to go listen to it again. But I always love those lines, you know. Good times, man. Good times. I used to jump over and play the keyboard. Front lead singer used to like play the acoustic. We had it on a stand, which is always like it was the lamest thing we did as a band, I always thought. But then I felt like once we were playing, people warmed up to it. You know, you come in to a place and you got an acoustic guitar on a stand. People are like, what's going on here? We had the drummer, man. He would drum with one hand and come over here and put like a little chord on the Moog, you know? Anyway. Early morning up in Nashville. Those are the memories that we're sharing today. Beautiful morning over in Nashville today, and getting a little late start today. And man, reminiscing about when I used to use tube amps. And today I want to talk about why I'm never going back to using tube amps live. You know, I saw Rhett did a video like why I'll never go fully digital. And I thought maybe I should do a video why I'm always going to stay fully digital, right? But I don't know if that's true. But I mean, obviously I use analog stuff too. But I mean, for me, there's a ton of reasons why I'll never go back to playing amps live. One is this room I'm in down here is the basement level of my house. Yes, it walks out to the backyard. So the house is kind of split level. It looks like 2 stories from the front, but it's 3 stories in the back, you know. So there's a walkout basement. It's a basement, but you can walk out because it's on a hill. So, you know, other than just not wanting to take them up the stairs, I mean, that would be reason enough, right? Like, I carried so many heavy amps up and down stairs and stuff. I just carried so many things. I used to carry them from downstairs in my house to upstairs and out the front door. And I would do all this stuff. And it was just like, it was always super hard to get stuff in and out of the house when I had like amps downstairs, but the main floor was upstairs or whatever. Not all my houses were that way. But then reverse too, when I had an amp room upstairs. And that was like this best space for my amps, and you got to get that stuff up and down, right? And I'll tell you a horror story, because moving gear is a real thing. One is, when you have a bunch of gear, you got to get like a van. Like there's a reason like guitar players and amps, bands always had, vans and stuff. And I would borrow my work van. My dad owned the company at the time. So I was able, and I was one of the like only people at the company. I used to drive it for work a little bit. He would drive it. There were only like 3 people insured to drive this van, and I was one of them. So when I had some gigs, they're like, "Dad, can I take the van? I'll fill it up," And the company put so few miles on this little Ford Eco-Transit van. It like, he's like, whatever. I think they sold it later, and it was like 8 years old with 30,000 miles. But anyway, they needed a van for some stuff. So they had this Eco-Line van, Econo whatever van. And I'd take that around. But, dude, I remember one time we were playing this place, and I'm lifting all this stuff up, and I had bought some new pants. At the time, I only bought, like, used clothing from, like, Salvation Army and stuff. Now, listen, I'm not like these stupid hipsters today that I see out here paying all this money for old band T-shirts. I would buy, I would imagine what was going on was, like, 80-year-old men were dying, and no one wanted their clothing, and I was buying their slacks at like a hell of a deal. You know what I mean? I'd find 40s and 50s stuff all the time. That stuff was well made, man. I'd find wool pants, and I'd be like, this could have been a Civil War era wool pant, because it would have patches on the pocket or on the knees. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so I was only wearing local band T-shirts and like used clothing, that I'd go buy, and not at like the trendy places. None of that. I just went straight to the Salvation Army and just bought stuff. And I remember I had a buddy tell me one time, he was like, "Yeah, dude, you're wearing like some of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen." And I don't really dress like that anymore, but maybe I should. So, I'm lifting all this heavy stuff one day up on the stage, and you're hurrying because the band, I think we were the support act or something, and I like lift this orange 212, and I like set it down. I try to like squat to save my back. I ripped my pants wide open, like the whole crotch was ripped, and I was like, "Oh gosh, man, what?" But I had to play this gig. So I went to the bar, and I asked one of the women there, like the bartender, I was like, y'all don't have any like safety pins or clothespins, do you? We had something break. And now they might have been thinking it was a guitar strap or we had some curtain or something. They were like, "Actually, we do." And she like went backstage and got me like 3, like, I guess they're called clothespins or safety pins. Not clothespins. That's like this thing, right? The ones that have the little, can you put it in? Anyway, it's sharp on one side. And I went to the bathroom and like pinned my pants as close as I could make them. But I had to go play. And this was a place where the stage was pretty high. So I had to like be above everyone. So I had to make sure I like played like this the whole time. And I like didn't spread my legs or, I definitely wasn't going to do any kicks that day. Man, and then you know what? I just wore those. I mean, I just rocked out with those ripped pants. It was one of the most rock and roll memories I have. And then we went to Taco Bell after the gig. That's the thing you did. We made $300 and went to Taco Bell. I think we made $300, split it 4 ways, went to Taco Bell. And in those days, you could eat at Taco Bell, like all you could eat was like $6. So it was very much worth it. And I would like give my drink tickets. I don't know if you guys ever did this, but I never really got into beer and stuff. I enjoy scotch now, but I never really got into beer. And then, so I'd always be like, "Hey, if you come to the show, we're 2 drinks on me." And people would be like, "Yeah?" I'd be like, "Yeah, dude, come to my show. Hear my band. Let me buy you a drink, man. You'll enjoy it." So then when they got there, whoever I was like baiting to come, I would always do like someone really popular who I knew had like a little friend group, because they would probably convince all of them to go too. And then I just give them my free drink tickets. And that was the hustle. That was the hustle of being a little indie band, trying to get people to come out to your shows when you could book them. Booking shows was tough too. Anyway, today we're playing this Sir with some Lambertrons in it through this. It's the new RC50J. Drink my coffee in the morning. I like to talk about guitar on YouTube. I try to make videos every day. That's a song. But anyway, dude, I'll never go back to amps. Not just because of the hazards of lifting a heavy amp. Not just because you could easily rip your pants. And I'll be honest with you. Quote of the video. Quote of the video. Here we go. I've never torn my pants lifting a Kemper. There you go. And so I think that's a practical matter. But you know what, man? I just got so sick of with tube amps, man. By the end of it, I was taking not only my pedal board and the tube amp, which I didn't have a huge pedal board. I was relying on the 2 channels of the amp. But I had one time one of the channels go out. So then I was like, I need to bring an extra overdrive to take the place of my second channel if it ever went out again. So then I'm running around like that with an extra drive on there. Then I started running around with like a 22 caliber pedal from Electro Harmonics, which was their like little solid state tube amp, power amp like driver thing. So you could power 2 speakers with that little thing. It was like a little pedal. And I was like, here we go. This will be my backup in case my amp ever goes out. So I put that in the back of my amp. So I'm carrying my amp and a backup and an extra pedal and a couple guitars, and that was cool. But you know what, man, is we would just play so many situations where, I'd have to angle the amp differently or do this or that. And I remember, I'd be miking stuff. How does it sound out there? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't do that. It's like nothing you can do about that. But just like the monitor mix, like, can you my amp sounds like too dark. It sounds too bright. And I'd always be getting in my head of like, is something up with this amp? Is the mic not right? I'd be moving the mic a bunch. And I know that's all like just silly stuff, but one of the things I really enjoy about digital is just knowing this sounds just like it did last time I saved it. And so I just know, like, forget how it sounds to me. The monitor mix may suck. The this may suck. The that may suck. I know it's awesome out there. And then I can play, because I know that, I can play through whatever difficulty I'm experiencing. You know what I mean? I can just go for it. Like, I don't know, man. I just think if I get one sound guy to tell me one time, man, that tone's perfect. Or like, hey, give me a little more high end or give me a little high mids, the ability to save that and then just know going forward, like, there it is. Or the ability to go, like, really dial something in with a mix, with a track that you've recorded or something. And then just knowing, like, this is that thing, Or being able to take a guitar like this and, like, I do this a lot at church. So this guitar has less, it sounds different than like one of the other humbucker guitars I might play, right? And so I've made little adjustments to my normal sound. So I have my like performance for Kemper that I play live, and I'll make that available for everybody. It's kind of like there's an older version in the Tone Junkie free pack for Kemper. I'll try to make it available like for everything. But I've just changed some effects. I've done very little to it since then. I mean, you have like 85% of it if you download that in the Tone Junkie free pack. It's called HW Knows Tone. And so what I did in my Kemper is I copy this and make another one, and then I call it like HW Knows Tone Plus. And then I know that the plus is for this. I just remember, like, okay, plus, I remember I did it for this guitar. And so then what I did was I just upped the mids a little bit. And that worked really well. Up the mids and up the gain just slightly. And because these pickups are a little lower output, but they're really clear, really, really like present, you know. And you know, I don't know. That just to me like eliminates so much of the stuff I think about when I'm playing live. I just know my tone is like the same as it was as I heard it and liked it, and then I heard it on a recording and liked it. And any little tweaks I make, like I know it's there. Like if I, you know, punch up a little like chorus or whatever, I just, and it works really well, I know that it's always there. And I have infinite ability to grab other guitars, make little changes, and save it just for that guitar, rather than having so many different variables change between like pedals and my amp and this and that. The other thing is, I can, when I want a more specialty sound, just dial up something else. I don't do that a lot, but I have done that. I have on specific songs that we've been playing, gone out of the box a little bit and gone, okay, like one week we had this week where we were going to play at my church and we were going to play outdoors, okay? Because we had, the church had like 2 or 3 services at the time. I think it was 2 services. And they were doing this big Easter thing. And they said, you know, we want to get everybody together and then we'll have like bounce houses and Easter egg hunt and all that stuff. So they said, we're going to get a big tent, one of those giant tents you can rent. And like, we're going to do it all outside. We're going to do like a couple songs. We're going to do like a blessing and pray. And then we're just going to let all the kids go have fun, right? Everybody together, right? No more like, oh, do you go to the first one or the second one? You know? So we were doing that. And guess what? It like rained a bunch the night before, super muddy. And then it was going to rain that morning. So they go, move it inside. And, you know, it was like, are we going to fit? And they were just like, we'll move the chairs out of the building if we have to. We'll just have people stand and and they brought that bounce houses inside. It's like the bounce house will be in that room over there and this room. And you walked into this room and the whole thing's filled with the bounce house. It was great. But, you know, that meant that we were then sitting on the stage going, hey, that guy was going to play a cajon. This guy was going to play an acoustic. We don't even have a bass player. This was going to be like a stripped down little thing. Do we still do that? And so in that instance, we did. We still did that vibe. But I had already grabbed like my my Les Paul Signature, the big hollow, the fully hollow one with the 2 humbuckers. And I had dialed up a special sound where I was like, I'm just going to play a Princeton into that thing. And so my modeler made that possible for me to just switch the amp up because I just felt like it was a different vibe. I didn't need all the delay. I didn't need all the reverb. I didn't need the overproduced sound. I wanted something more raw to just play along with some acoustics and a cajon. And that was it. And I was just going to be like, you know, they were doing like some stuff and I can't even do it with this sound and stuff, man. But I was just going to be, you know, like kind of like, you know. You know what I mean? I was just like, really, I wasn't doing all the triad-y stuff. I was just playing some chords, just sort of comping with the... first position stuff. You know what I mean? Because there was so much room. I didn't need to do all this stuff. And I'm throwing in very little in terms of lead work, just little bits here and there, you know? And And it was fine. It was fine for what it was. You know what I mean? But the modeler gave me the ability to just go a different direction without like changing my full setup. You know what I mean? And it's hard to do that with an amp, and it's hard to be flexible. So to me, it's weight. It's being able to save my tone and be confident that it's the exact same, that mics and everything aren't playing into it. Now, do I still have to deal with the sound guy maybe doing stuff to my channel? Of course, of course, of course, of course. A horse is a horse. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. Also, one of the things I've always loved about digital gear and why I've always had like an M9 or an HX Stomp in my rig no matter what is the ability to just look down and go, I think I'll use a tremolo on this. And not always needing that real estate to have a tremolo pulled up, And so that's the little constant changes I'm always doing. And I love that, when you do go full digital, this is maybe more of, why you should go, all in one unit kind of digital. It's easy to just call stuff up. And I'll do another video on this. It's actually why I love the Kemper. It's so easy to just change an effect and call stuff up and like not save it and not get into menu diving to do it. I don't know. I'll get into that, what I think some pros and cons of some of the different things are. But to me, that's why I'm sold. I'll never go back to playing and put aside all the times I've played gigs that digital just made the setup so much faster. Like, that's little stuff. It's worth the setup if you really dig your rig. And even if digital took a little longer to set up, I'd probably still do that. So, yeah, to me, it's just I think the tone is consistent, and I might even say better in a lot of cases. In most cases, I would say better because my captures. The ability for me to painstakingly put the microphones where I want them, add EQ, do all that stuff, to me produces a better sound than if I take that amp, put just a 57 and hope the sound guy does a good job. You know what I mean? Like I have more control, and I'll always take the more control over my tone than less control. So to me, it's like, I think it sounds better. I think it sounds at least more consistent. I'll put it that way. And then, you're never going to rip your pants. And then, the last one's like, it just, I feel like it's so easy for me to just bend down, switch up my entire thing and make even little utilitarian things, like utility changes, Now I could do some of that with a Boss GE7, but then I got to have the Boss GE7 all the time. And it's like the rig starts to get bigger, 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 bigger to give me a lot of the same functionality I get in digital, which seems to be able to get smaller, 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 smaller. So at the end of the day, maybe it's a little bit of an efficiency play. But I just feel like not only do I have my whole rig, I have a whole collection of stuff at my feet. Whenever I have a Quad Cortex, a Kemper, a Helix, not really Tonex, but you know what I mean. That's a little different of a solution. But that's why I'll never go back to amps.